this point move. This is cold. Can you guys see the snow? Yeah, there we go. Say hello. How do you feel? Cold. Look, guys.
Hi guys, and welcome to episode 42 of the Crochet Cakes podcast. It's not a very pretty number, is it? 42. I'm a big fan of like 40, 45, 50. I'm a fan of multiples of 5 for some reason. Anyway, my name is Clarisabeth. I am 5'7", I weigh 125 pounds, and I think that's it for all the stats. Other than I am currently coming to you from Florida, which, if you are new to the podcast, will make no difference to you, but if you've been watching for a while, you know that I almost always podcast from Puerto Rico. And I have to say, I do miss podcasting from Puerto Rico, but at least I've got white walls here that help with showing off the yarny goodness. Now, this is a bit of a extra special episode because it's the one right after EYF. Yeah. So yes, EYF. I will leave all the EYF chatting towards the end of the podcast because if you're all EYF'd out, then you might not want to chat about EYF with me. So I'm leaving it all towards the end, and whatever videos I manage to take of our adventures, I will also be leaving all the way to the end. Just so you know, you can tune off if you don't want to. I'll tell you when I'm going to be talking about EYF just in case. And the haul, if you're interested in it, I will not actually be sharing all of it because I decided that it might be more productive, I guess, to show the haul when I'm actually going to work on it, because last year I showed off all the haul for EYF and I don't think I used any of it, actually. Did I use yarn? No, I really didn't. I think Mom actually got more use out of my EYF haul than I did. Yeah, so that's a bit sad, actually. Let's not talk about that. I will use this haul from EYF. I will use it. So yes, all the EYF chatting will be left towards the end, and I will only be mentioning, in terms of the haul, special skeins or hanks of yarn that I picked up. What I will say about EYF is that it was amazing this year. I was more prepared for what a yarn festival was going to be, so I wasn't as overwhelmed. The venue was brilliant this year. It was still held at the Corn Exchange, but it was so much better. The logistics of it was better. The feel of the festival, it didn't feel as constricting, I guess. You could move around. There was lots of seating space. The vendors were brilliant. Some of them were the same as last year, some new ones, or at least some that I didn't see last year. And of course, we got to meet with all the amazing people that we've befriended over the internet. Well, not all of them, but all the ones that were going to be at EYF, we met. So I met up with Catherine again and Nicola, who are just amazing women, amazing friends, and Mom met them for the first time, so she was really happy about that. It was Allison and Vivian and Yael and Emmy and Charlie from Love Charlie, Faye, Rosina. It was just brilliant. If you kind of want to see more of the fun we got up to at EYF, then please make sure you watch the KCACY Edinburgh Yarn Festival special, because we managed to record a little bit with them and you could hear us laughing, so you know how much fun we had. So yeah, now that we've got EYF a tiny bit sorted. I will come back to it at the end of the episode. I think it's also time to move on and say that welcome. Welcome. How have you guys been? I hope you've been well. I don't know if you can tell from my voice, but ever since I got back from EYF, it's just been one health issue after the other. I got off the plane deaf, basically, because I've had a lot of ear operations over the years, so my left ear does not regulate pressure well, and for some reason this trip was just horrible when it came to that, and I literally got off the plane not being able to hear out of my left ear, and my right ear was only slightly better. I could hear if you were talking directly into my right ear, but if you weren't, it was horrible. And then my allergies have kicked in, and now I pretty much got not a massive cold, but just a little bit hints of a cold. And I had a really bad crick in the neck that I couldn't move. My neck, it's still it's very sore around here. I don't know what's happening. But yes, let's move on to more happy and exciting things. You can't tell what I'm wearing, but it's a lovely hairpin that Charlie gifted to me. I'm pretty sure she crocheted this herself. Didn't you, Charlie? So I've been using them all the time. She gave me one in orange, yellow, blue, and I think there was a pink as well. So I've been getting a lot of use out of these little hair clips. I love them. Thank you. So that was one of the gifts I received at EYF. Well, one of the gifts from Charlie, because Charlie was very naughty and she spoiled me rotten. Everybody spoiled me, actually, but more on that later, Clarisabeth. We're supposed to be talking about a crafting podcast. This is a crafting podcast, isn't it? Right. So I actually managed to have a finished object for you guys, even though I did no work whatsoever at EYF on any of the projects I took. Seriously, I should learn my lesson. I do not know I take projects on vacation. I never work on them. Never work on them. Either I get up in the mornings and I'm hungry, so I just want to, get dressed and walk out, or I get in late and I'm tired and I just don't work on them at all. So I should really stop taking finished objects. I mean, works in progress to work on, because there's no work or progress done on them while I'm on vacation. But having said that, I did manage to finish a pair of socks. I would say hot off the hook. I finished them the day before yesterday, so I finished them on Sunday, and they are the sock pattern I was testing for Mom. So this is her My Sweet sock pattern that she designed in honor of me. It's a crochet sock, as you can see, with a knit cuff, because she designed all the elements to remind her of me. So there's cupcakes, because I'm the Crochet Cakes podcast, and there is a knit cuff, because I always knit Mom socks, so she wanted to commemorate that. But you could also crochet the cuff. And the toe was brilliant. The heel was brilliant. I mean, it was this sock is an absolutely perfect fit. And I do have two. They are a pair of socks, which is brilliant. There we go. This is a sock blank, actually, and this is what I had left over. I haven't been able to weigh it because my kitchen scales have not arrived, but I just had this little tiny piece of the sock blank left over. So this one was a sock blank dyed by Kayleen Weaver, who is Little Bean Crochet on Etsy. I talk about her a lot, but I will include her links in the show notes, which you will find in the description box below. And this was actually, to my surprise, a double knit sock blank. So what does that mean? That it's meant for 2 at a time socks, if you can see. It's meant for 2 at a time socks. You were pulling it twice. So I literally had to work on these socks consecutively. You know, can't hook 2 at a time, but you know, just do a couple of rows here, come back to a couple of rows in the next one. So they really are very, very similar socks, and I think it's brilliant the way that I used this sock. Tooting my own horn, but I think it's brilliant that I used this sock blank for a crochet sock, because if you tuned into the last episode, you will have seen the full sock blank. So it started with a green, then it had a deeper, well, you can kind of see on the sock, it started with the green that is a bit tonal, and then it went to the pinks and the deeper pinks, magenta, and then we just started going back to the green, which was this part here. I think for crochet, that is brilliant because your color changes are very long, and it almost works up in 2 legitimate sections. And for crochet, like I said, it's brilliant because you've essentially got some tonality in the yarn, which the stitches actually bring out. And I just love everything about this pattern. You know what I love most, guys? I actually managed to make a pair of socks. Usually my sock always comes out a bit shorter, but this is a perfect pair of socks. And this was I don't want to give too many details because the pattern is not ready yet, and it was a test pattern, but I used a sock blank like I showed you, fingering weight, and a 3.25mm crochet hook because I tend to have loosier tension lately, so I just know that I need to use 3.25. But when this pattern comes out, guys, you have to go and crochet it because it's brilliant, it's amazing. The techniques Mom used for it, I think, translate to any sock. So if you don't really like the cupcake stitch, then you can just replace your own stitch. For the leg, you could also replace your own stitch for the foot. It's just, I cannot say enough good things about the pattern or the fact that I used a sock blank that was so beautifully dyed. And for me, I call it like dyed in pieces. So you've got 3 colors, well, 2 colors, but 3 sections. And I think that works brilliantly for this sock pattern specifically, and for any crochet sock, because your color changes are long. So you really don't get color pooling as much. You just get sections of color. So it's almost sort of self-striping. And what I mean by color pooling is, I'm going to take a break from showing you a finished object and kind of compare a work in progress that I've got going. And this, I didn't work on it at all, the trip either, but it's the Muscari. I'm sorry, my brain is dead. It's the Moonlit Shawl pattern by Sandra Paul. This is actually the second pattern I'm working on from Sandra. The first one that I started was the Spice Your Life blanket, which I have not worked on either. I did work on this a little bit yesterday, so I managed to complete the main shawl part. It's completed, and now I'm on to the border. But do you guys see the difference? This is what I mean by color pooling. The color changes in the yarn, though I think the yarn is beautiful, are very short. For example, let me just unwind this. You can see we've only got a tiny little bit of, let me put it against my sleeve, a tiny little bit of the creamier yellow before we move on to the lighter brown, before we start moving on to the darker brown. So the color changes are very short. Yes, short, yeah, short color changes. Oh, I just pulled out a stitch. So they're very short color changes, and that's why you get this kind of grid effect of color pooling, which drives some people crazy. I don't mind it. I just don't think crochet stitches show the yarn to their greatest advantage when you've got a short color change. I still think it's lovely, but it really was meant for knitting. Doesn't mean you can't use it, just means knitting might show you the color changes better. Okay, so I just wanted to compare long color changes, which I think is brilliant, versus short color changes. Don't get me wrong, I still love working on the pattern. I love the yarn. This is Clan Fraser from Forbidden. She's not Forbidden Woolery anymore. She's Forbidden Fiber Co. Something like that. She's been Forbidden Woolery to me for so long that it's really hard to remember what she changed her name to. And another comment, this does look like a very manly colorway, so my fiance kind of gives me the stink eye every time I pull it out, because he's like, I would have wanted something in that because it's like camel, and now it's all sparkly, so I can't have anything out of it because it is a sparkle. So yeah, yay. So I guess I kind of showed you my finished object and my work in progress all in one go, which wasn't my intention. I was actually not going to show you any works in progress because I was intending this to be a kind of sock special episode. What do I mean by that? I mean that I took all my handmade socks to our trip to the UK. So obviously these didn't make the cut because these weren't made yet. But I took all of my handmade socks, like I said, and I was going to give you a review on how each of the yarns and stitch patterns worked up, how they felt on my feet, how warm they kept my feet, all that jazz. Because I don't know if you guys follow the weather, but we were hit with a mini beast from the east while we were in Edinburgh, and it was really cold. It had been about 5-6 years before that I had felt 20-degree weather. I'm not a fan of it, I have to say. So I really just wanted to show you guys how each of my socks behaved in this weather and using them. So the first day when we got to to Edinburgh, I was not wearing socks. I was just wearing my airplane shoes, which were very comfortable loafers style shoes, and just walked around. But the second day, which was a Thursday, we didn't go to EYF. We actually went on a 12-hour tour of the Highlands, which was amazing, and I think I need about 2 weeks in the Highlands. We'll put a video on that in the end. But I wore these socks. Now, these are the sock emergency kits from Kayleen, who's Little Beans Crochet on Instagram, and these have an afterthought heel. Now the afterthought heel, I don't know if you can tell, but it behaved really well. There's really no snaggy edges, no kind of felty bits, fuzzy bits I should say. And the other one, I really wanted to test the look, I didn't even weave in the comfortableness of not having an afterthought heel, because Melissa, who is Melissa Dawn Pool Artist and has her own YouTube channel here on YouTube, she was saying that for her, she finds that knitting socks without a heel actually is better because you don't really have a front or a back, so you kind of alternate which one's your front and which one's your back, and that's less stressful on the sock. So there's no fuzziness either, as you can see. It I have to say, in terms of comfortableness, I did not find the Afterthought heel very comfortable. I kept feeling the ridge on my heel, and I did not enjoy that. The reason, you know, these are also so well preserved is that we barely walked. We were in a bus most of that tour. But if you can see a bit of fuzziness here, that's because my boots kept scratching against, the top of my boots kept scratching against these socks. In terms of keeping my feet warm, they were okay because we were on a bus most of the time. But when I wore these, not on a bus, we were walking a lot. This is just, again, 75-25 superwash merino nylon. This is the Enchanted Forest colorway by Petra made by Black Elephant. I walked all day in these. Yeah, so you can see that the stitches have kind of fused together. They didn't really keep my feet very warm, but you know, they're lacy, so I think that was also my fault. But both of these heels just kind of fused together. And this fuzziness, the boots were a bit big on me, so they kept rubbing up against my foot. I actually have 2 burn marks from that. So the poor socks also suffered that. So I'm not too happy that these kind of fused together because this was my favorite sock. And it's just kind of, I would even say felted if it wasn't superwash. I would even say it felted together. But the toes behaved really well. The toes are fine. They're not felted together or anything. And they were actually really, really comfortable to wear. I think the linked half double crochet is a beautiful stitch. They didn't bother me in terms of feeling my stitches. Not at all. These were brilliant. The second socks I wore when it was 20 degrees actually kept my feet super duper warm. These were the first crochet socks I ever received, and these were crocheted by Mom. Made up her own pattern, and these are crocheted using Lion Brand sock yarn. Look at that. And I walked in these a lot. These are actually the socks out of all of my socks that I have used the most. I use them to be around the house. I use them in my tennis shoes. You can tell there's a little bit of wear at the bottom. And it's not even wear, it's just a tiny bit fuzzy. So Lion Brand sock yarn is just essentially like your Regia or your Opal or your Stylecraft. It's 75% wool, 25% nylon. So definitely I think when you blend your wools, you get a sturdier sock and a warmer sock. Of course, these were also half linked double crochets all around, so they just tended to be a thicker, warmer sock all around, which is what you need for 20-degree weather. So you see, none of them really wore on the heel bit. They actually are a bit more worn under the heel than at the actual heel, but the toes are perfectly fine. There's no wear on them on either sock. And they feel amazing on. Did I already mention that? They feel so great and so comfortable. So Rosina, I know you were trying crochet socks for the first time and you said that you hadn't really found them comfortable to walk on. I would recommend that you find a pattern with a half-linked double crochet because they really are the most comfortable. Yeah, there's a bit of fusing at the... I actually tend to wear my socks, even my commercial socks, more on the bottom of my foot than on the heel or the toe because I put a lot of pressure on the right before your toes, right after your toes. I put a lot of weight there. It's the way I walk. So the other socks that I took to EYF, and bear in mind, these are DK knit socks. These are fingering weight crochet socks. These did not keep me super warm either. And this is DK sock yarn, Goosey Squish, so it's from Goosey Fibers. It's the Hedwig colorway, and it's just 75-25 superwash merino nylon, but it's a DK weight, which I love, and I loved working with this yarn. I thought it was brilliant, but my feet tend to get really cold. So in terms of these socks, if you've tuned in before, you know that I carried on the slip knit on one of them and I didn't carry it on the other of them. So there's definitely more wear on the sock that I did not do the slip knit to the bottom of the foot than on the one that I did slip knit to the bottom of the foot. The heel has worn considerably, as you can tell. I also think in part that was because my boots were a little bit loose, so whenever the shoelaces got untied, it would rub up against. So maybe I'm not giving an entirely fair review, but I think the consistency that you see here is that the merino socks tended to fuzz together a lot more than just wool socks. And the 5th pair of socks I wore was my Hermione's Everyday Socks. These are in the Goth Day Cake colorway by Kristen from Wool and Vine, and I was knitting on these last year for my birthday at EYF. And this is the Hermione's Everyday Sock pattern, 2.25 millimeter needles, and it's her sock base. So it's her BFL sock. It's 80% BFL, 20% nylon. Might be mistaken, but it is BFL and nylon. Bam. There is no wear on that heel. There is not even wear on the foot, which is where most of my other socks are worn. There is not even wear on the toe. So all in all, I think that for me, the way I wear my socks and the way I put most of my weight on my feet, I think from now on I should just stick with either 75% wool, 25% nylon, or BFL and nylon. Merino, I just don't think it keeps my feet warm. I'm sorry if I'm the only person that thinks that, but my feet are always cold, so might be another thing. So yeah, this was my Edinburgh sock parade. And honestly, I have to say, in terms of comfortableness between knitting and crochet socks, I found them to be the same. I found them both to be very comfortable. I do not think I have a preference in terms of knitting and crochet socks. Of course, the crochet sock will always feel a bit thicker. I think it feels like a sport weight sock. The DK weight sock is definitely a different feel, so I don't think the crochet socks gets to be the DK unless you maybe do a half length double crochet all the way around. I was able to wear them all comfortably inside my boots. They were Doc Marten boots, if you're interested. And yeah, I love them. I think they definitely kept me more warm than commercial socks, though, even the merino ones, because I did wear 2 pairs of commercial socks one day and my feet were freezing. So I do think that wool socks in general, whether they be merino or non-merino, do keep your feet warmer than commercial socks, but I think my preference is definitely woolly socks. That was my EYF sock review for you guys. So my Edinburgh sock parade. That's what this was, including a finished pair of socks. Woo. Brilliant. Right. So the other thing I wanted to share with you guys is actually a non-EYF haul. These were waiting for me in my mailbox when I arrived from home from EYF. One of them I think I've already showed you, but I ordered a second hank of it because it was sport weight, and I think I'm currently in love with sport weight as a base. Mom gave me some Betsy Makes sport weight yarn and I absolutely love it, and I got this sport weight for myself. So this is from Emmy Couture. Emmy Couture. Her name's Emily Wrinkle. She also has a, can you guys even? She also has a podcast here on YouTube, and she includes this beautiful card that she did the watercolors herself. So I think it's brilliant. I loved it. And this is the hank of yarn. It's unicorn tails. It's so squishy. It's Dumble Sport, so it's just 75% superwash merino and 25% nylon. The name is Unicorn Tails. And I'm really struggling to find a pattern that I can make with 2 hanks of sport weight yarn, whether it be knitted or crocheted. So I kind of went diving into vintage patterns, and I'm trying to see if I can adapt anything, or heck, even create something that just uses 2 hanks of sport weight yarn. It'll probably, I'm conscious that it'll probably just have to be a crop top of some sort, but I don't want this to be socks. I think it's beautiful. The color scheme is actually out of my comfort zone, except for the dark teals and aquas it has in it, because I love teals and aquas. But the rest is a tiny bit out of my comfort zone. So if you're in the US, check out Emily Wrinkle. She also has a podcast here on YouTube, and she is a blogger for the Minerva Crafts website, which I think is brilliant. And something that I did not purchase but was gifted to me, was my birthday present from my mom, is this amazing, beautifully crafted, gorgeous pincushion, which has been getting a lot of use. I mean, strawberries, because Mom knows I don't like cherries. I love strawberries though, and all my colors are here, and it's just beautiful. And I often just take it out and look at it. Even if I'm not sewing, I keep it next to me because it's just a way of keeping Mom close, and I just love it. I love it. Another thing that I did acquire, and I will be sharing with you guys, is this was my birthday present to myself. I give myself a lot of birthday presents, I think, but this one was legitimately my birthday present to myself, and it's a lovely, gorgeous Betsy Makes bag, and I'm pretty sure it's her standard bag size, because she always makes them this size. And it's just a shawl. I think I could even fit a garment in here if it was a two hank garment, and it's got pockets on the outside. I love Betsy Makes bags. This is the second Betsy Makes bag I have in my stash, but I just loved the color, and I just think it's brilliant. If I could come up, you know, I just thought they went so well together. So this is going to be in rest until I find a pattern I can make for this, because I'll be putting it in this bag. I also got the Betsy Makes bag for research purposes, because as I've mentioned previously, I am interested in selling my own bags, and I've kind of been collecting bags from makers that I really admire, and every time I sew, I put them in front of me and I just think to myself, I want to make bags as gorgeous as this. So they're my inspiration as well, and it's just lovely fabric, and she quilts them, so they're just so beautifully crafted, and I don't even know how she does it, because every time I use quilting, I have such an issue trying to keep my fabric from going wonky. But her fabric is never wonky, it's always on point, and it's, look at that pattern match. So yes, they're my inspiration. So that is it, guys, for non-EYF talk. So if you're not interested in EYF, because you're all EYF'd out, which I can understand. Just good day. Thank you for joining me. Have a great day and happy crafting. If you are interested in EYF talk, then let's go. So as Mom and I, we kind of keep talking about EYF, and we keep thinking we have to do another yarn festival. We have to go back to see all these amazing people and friends. So for us, the best part of EYF was meeting everybody who we basically stalk on Instagram or YouTube. So we got to meet Rosina, we got to meet Anna from the Crochet Ninja, we got to meet Zebra Kitten, you know, people that follow us on Instagram and people who we follow on Instagram as well. I got to see Catherine and Nicola again, which was just brilliant. They're amazing women. And I got to see Allison and share with Allison again, and Vivian. I got to meet Vivian for the first time. Oh, it was just so beautiful, and got to meet so many new crafters, and I got to meet Yael and Emmy from Emya Handmade, which was brilliant. I'm sorry if I'm blanking out on names of people I've met, because I tend to be bad with names, and I was just so excited, and the atmosphere at EYF this year was just brilliant. It was the logistics of it was amazing. It felt much fresher, much more open this year. They had so many different crafts this year. They had sewing, they had felting, they had knitting, of course knitting, and the crochet project were there, so there was some crochet. Loop was there as well again this year. They had a lot of felting stalls as well, which I thought was great. Mom is really big on felting, and she's gonna share, I think, what she bought with you guys, but there were some beautiful pieces. I actually got some wool to felt with as well, because Melissa from the Melissa Dawn Wool Artist podcast is going to be hosting a felt along soon, and I wanted to just grab some type of different color felt so I could be ready for it, I guess. And in terms of haul, I think you guys saw my Instagram haul, and it wasn't that significant, but I'm pretty attached to the pieces I bought, and I don't actually have them here to show you, so I'll be right back. I'm back. So as I said, I was spoiled rotten. I spoiled myself, and people spoiled me as well. So one of the first things I received were gifts from beautiful, beautiful makers, and this basically sums up my whole EYF trip. I guess Mom and I's both sums it up both. So this was a beautiful, I'm using it as a project bag, that was gifted to me by Charlie from Love Charlie Crochet, and she was very naughty. She put so many things in here. I've already packed them and sorted them and put them all in their respective places for future use, so I'm not going to bring them all out to show you, but it was just so beautiful. And inside this, one of the things I did bring to show you was she gifted me a mini skein set from River Knits, who Faye talks about a lot. So I'm really excited to use this because it's 100% Blue Face Leicester, and it's they're 20 gram minis. So when she gifted me, Charlie from Love Charlie had also gifted during the Get Your Yarn Wishes Granted, she gifted me the Dragon Shawl by Addie Day Designs. So having received this, I knew I had to make the dragon shawl. And one of the first purchases I made was this travel knitter yarn. I've never purchased travel knitter before, of course, but it's also Blue Face Leicester and nylon, which would make a gorgeous, beautiful pair of socks. But I will be using it to pair it with these two skeins to make the dragon shawl from Addie Day Designs. Don't know when I'm gonna start that, but it will be a thing. One of the other purchases I made, I really just purchased on the first day I was there. I didn't kind of hit me that I was going to be going there a second time. So on the second day, I made one purchase, and that was just the wool. But on the first day, I had told myself I was going to, of course, go for Iona because I had made a list. And this is not showing up true to color. It's more of a mustardy yellow instead of this greeny yellow. I got 2 hanks of this color in their double knit yarn. So it's single origin, and one in their teal color. So I guess I do have a garment quantity of yarn, but I think I'm going to try making a design from Faye, because I thought it was going to be brilliant if I did one of Faye's design in a yarn that she really loves and admires. So that was almost it for the yarn haul. Not really. I also got some Ulysses sport weight yarn because I want to knit a pair of penguin mitts. So I got 2 100 grams and 1 50 gram ball from TJ Frog. Now TJ Frog had some undyed yarn, but they also had these Dorset button kits. And I got these because Catherine from the Crafternoon Treats podcast was talking about how Dorset buttons are a dying craft. So in the pack, they include a Dorset button history, and they include all the materials to make this little pin, which I absolutely loved because they're hopefully will be my wedding colors, so I can potentially use this on my wedding day. And I also got some pre-made Dorset buttons. These are made with Harris tweed, and these were to share with Mom. We were just gonna make jewelry out of them. So this was a very, very special purchase. Another special purchase I made, well, I consider super special, is this yarn. This is from Nook and Do, which is a mill in Scotland. And I cannot be more in love with what they do, the feel of their yarn, and what they are trying to do with their yarn. So in case that didn't really show up well, it says Nook and Do Wool Mill is the only district woolen mill left on mainland Scotland. It has been producing authentic yarns in the Spey Valley for over 230 years. Our small team of craftsmen and women use the same traditional skills which have been passed down through generations. So they use equipment from about the 1800s, if I'm not mistaken. This yarn is an Aran weight, 218 yards, 100 grams, 100% North Country Hill Cheviot, and it's the first batch. And it's just undyed, and I do not know if I want to dye it using natural dyes or if I want to just use it as it is and make myself a luscious wool hat, which I actually think I will just do. I think I want to make myself a knit hat, and it's going to be the Angel hat by Kay from the Bakery Bears, because I love that hat pattern. I have it already, but I feel this is going to be so much more special and so squishy. And I really admire Nook and Do. This was the first on my list of places I wanted to shop from, and I was actually going to go back the second day and grab another hank of this because I hadn't realized I had purchased the Aran weight. I had thought I had purchased the fingering weight, but I'm very excited that I purchased the Aran weight, so I wanted to go back and buy a second hank of Aran weight but I thought I had used up all my cash. I had it. I got to Gatwick Airport and I had £20 left. I could have purchased more yarn. Anyway, so yeah, if you have a chance, Knockandoo Wool Mill. If you live in Scotland, give them a visit. If you live in the UK, check out their website. They're also trying to dye yarn with natural dyes that can be found in their own mill. So plants that grow around the mill. I loved everything. And they actually had the man who carded the fleece was there. And that's the guy I talked to, and I wanted to purchase all their yarn, honestly. It's from I love a place with lots of history. I'm a history nerd. In case you didn't know, my bachelor's degree is in history, so I tend to gravitate towards historical things. So other than the fleece, this was really most of my purchases from EYF. I also got some Regia sock yarn, which I'm a bit miffed about because I do prefer opal to Regia. And then I found a stand that had opal yarn. Ridiculous. Some of the other special gifts I received were some Stylecraft sock yarn, which I'm really dying to try. And I think I will just knit them because look, it's so beautiful. And I think it'll coordinate well with the crochet version. It kind of reminds me of watermelon. Sort of, loosely. Maybe a watermelon mojito. Maybe that's what it reminds me of. And this was a gift from also Allison. She gifted me this gorgeous fabric that I'm going to be sewing a tartan project bag for myself. I shared some of the fabric with Mom, so I don't have it all, but what I was planning on doing, because I've got 2 pieces, is sewing these 2 together to make a reasonably tall project bag. And then I was going to cut off the X's on this one to make the handle. I am so excited about this. So these were offcuts that were left over from Allison's job. And look at the inside of the bag Vivian made for me. I'm just going to pull it all out so you guys can see. It's Mario. I'm a huge fan of Mario Kart. Huge. Huge. I can't even express how much of a fan I am. So, yay, keep calm and carry yarn. Lovely, lovely woman. And another super special gift I received was from Yael. She gifted me this gorgeous linen, 100% linen. And she put Swedish linen yarn. It's perfect for market bags and scrubbies. Can I find a one skein, one hank linen shawl? Because I would totally think it's gorgeous. It's beautiful. And Nicola gifted me this gorgeous little teeny tiny loom. And now I'm like, well, now I have to start weaving. Which I think is going to be brilliant because if you have a lot of fingering weight scraps left over and you want to make some cute projects, you could weave coasters. I think it's brilliant. If I am forgetting anybody that gave me things, I'm sorry. Oh, Faye, I kind of traded with her. She gave me these really pretty notions tins that she had done herself, and Rosina gifted me a really pretty brooch. It's a bow. I was gonna wear it, but this held my hair up more. So, what did I do with the £20 that I had left over at the airport? I bought a lot of Kath Kitston tea towels because I'm planning on sewing up bags for my shop. And I also got a significant amount of magazines, as you do, because that's what you do. And this, I got the Simply Crochet one because I just wanted Rosina's pattern. I thought it was brilliant, and I think it's going to make gorgeous gifts for Christmas. So I really just wanted to get issue 68 because I liked Rosina's pattern, and I like that they're going to be doing a blanket along with stitches. So now they're going to be including new stitches in every, I mean, they always had stitch tutorials, but now they're going to be putting them together in a blanket, which I think is great. And I got this. I am in love and in awe of this magazine. I had purchased their Christmas edition, and now I purchased their spring edition. I don't know if we have a magazine like this in the States. I really wish we did, because I love that they include everything. It's a making, it's a crafting magazine. And I think crafters, we tend to do a lot of different things. So I think it's brilliant that they just include so many different things. And if you buy the print version, they always include gorgeous paper that you can cut out and use. I'm planning on maybe doing a collage with all of them together. I don't know. I just think it's brilliant. And I want to make a lot of the projects that they have here, and I love reading about what everybody does and inspires them. But I think my favorite projects from this magazine this time actually came in their additional booklet. I love this embroidered terranium and this raffia paper bag. I think it's brilliant. My fiance wants to make this. So, hey, there you go, something for people's fiancés as well. And I have Emma Mitchell's book, but I completely forgot it had these lemon bars in it. So I'm actually very thankful that I bought this. I just love everything in this spring issue. And I also got this magazine because it had some recipes and some beautiful decorations. Mostly because of the recipes, because they had a steak ale pie, and let's just say my fiance really loved his steak ale pie. And look at this, I also bought it because it's got the most amazing articles. I haven't finished reading any of these magazines yet, because I actually came to the conclusion that instead of just going straight to the recipes or straight to the patterns, I do want to read what the magazine content actually has, because I want to better my own craft. So yeah, that was EYF from me. I didn't want to talk too much about it so you guys wouldn't get, you know, a bit bored. But I'm going to be including some videos, hopefully now, that you can watch or skip or put in fast forward. So I hope you enjoyed what I had to share, and I hope you come back if this was your first time tuning in. And if you know you've been with me for a while, thank you so much for always coming back and chatting with me. I hope this episode has found you all well and in good health and in good crafting mojo and magic, and you've, you know, just been creating all the things that you can wherever you are from. And thank you, thank you, thank you. See you next time. Happy crafting. Bye.
1967. Now that bridge doesn't have a name, because that bridge is the standard blueprint for a Victorian.
Hi, good morning. Just Hi, so we're here at the entrance, if you guys can see. A lot of people, but we managed to get in. We're overdressed for inside, underdressed for outside. So see you in a bit. Bye.
part of soul stocking. Okay. And I filled in the gaps with my crochet hooks because I was missing 2 out of the set. So that was good.
Now, yeah, except Alison.
I really? Because I wouldn't.
Say something.
So this is our last day in Edinburgh, which is very sad, right? Are you sad, Edison? You sad? Yeah, you don't want to be in London?
No more whiskey.
So one person's sad about the whiskey.
We had pizza that we heated up this morning for breakfast with the blower.
Here's a tip. If you've got cold food, turn the blower on. It actually heats it up quite well.
Well, at least warms it up, and then it's edible on my terms.
Which is very scary when you think that's what it does to your hair.
And so, soon we'll be on our way.
Yeah.
How's the weather outside?
Freezing.
Freezing cold, snowed, snow stuck to the ground.
Yeah, Edison and I packed a snowball together. Mine was better, so it hit him and stayed compact.
Oh, wow.
I'm very
We're
good.
snowballing, are we?
Well, what are you going to do? There's snow on the ground. You're going to complain about the fact that there's snow on the ground. So we've got no idea how we're going to get our luggage on our 5-minute walk to our transport to the airport.
We'll manage with 4 intelligent adults.
Questionable. Yeah, we didn't really do a lot of yarn shopping because I was packing all my yarn. I'm like, that's really all I bought.
Right, but I still had a hard time closing my suitcase.
I didn't. But on the bright side, we met so many lovely people, which is what we wanted to do in the first place.
Right.
We were thinking maybe if we ever do this again, just to go 1 day to the festival, 1.5 days maybe, because we did want to do some walking around the local shops and things. And
yeah, but it would have been cool to do that with other people.
Yeah,
that
with
liked the
other
same
people. So I guess we could have done what Faye did.
Of course, there wouldn't have been much of a difference. A lot of the yarns that are available locally some of them were available
online
at the yarns. No, at EYF.
Oh, that's true. It wouldn't have really made a difference. But even with
there's still activities this morning because there's something to do with a shepherd.
Yeah. Talk to the shepherd.
Talk to the shepherd. Meet the shepherd. I don't know.
It's something like that.
But we're not going to that. We're on our way out. So we're headed to London for a day.
Yep. And in London, we're planning on going to fabric stores, not yarn stores.
She's planning on going to fabric stores.
Well, we still need to go to a yarn store because I actually forgot.
She's planning on us going to fabric stores.
Yeah. But I still do actually need to visit a legitimate yarn shop because I forgot to take gifts to 3 people I was going to be taking gifts to. So
we'll get back to you and we'll tell you how it goes in London.
Yep. Bye for now.
Hi guys, it's freezing cold.
Our only day in London, but this is our view right.
Tower.